Picture this. You sit down for breakfast, maybe a bowl of oatmeal, some toast, a cup of coffee, nothing unusual, nothing alarming. And then, out of nowhere, your hand starts to feel a little strange, tingly, numb. You shake it off. You think, maybe I slept on it. Maybe I'm just tired. You go about your day, and 3 days later, you're in the hospital recovering from a stroke. This happens to hundreds of thousands of people every year in America. And the heartbreaking part? Most of them had warning signs, real, physical, unmistakable warning signs, days before the stroke actually happened. But they didn't know what to look for. They ignored the signals their own body was sending them. And that small window of time, that precious window where a stroke could have been prevented, or at least survived with far less damage, it closed. Today, that is not going to be you, because right now, I'm going to walk you through 5 warning signs that your body may send you in the days before a stroke. These are not rare. These are not random. These are patterns that doctors and researchers have studied carefully. And if you're over 60, you absolutely need to know them. So please, stay with me all the way to the end, because warning number 3 is the one that catches most people completely off guard. Before we get into the 5 signs, I want you to understand something important about how strokes work, because once you understand this, the warning signs will make perfect sense. A stroke happens when blood flow to part of your brain gets cut off. Either a blood clot blocks a vessel, what doctors call an ischemic stroke, or a blood vessel actually bursts, called a hemorrhagic stroke. About 87% of all strokes are the ischemic kind, the clot type. And here is what most people don't realize. Before a full stroke, many people experience what's called a TIA, a transient ischemic attack. Some people call it a mini-stroke. It's when blood flow gets briefly interrupted, the symptoms come on, and then they go away, sometimes within minutes or hours. And because the symptoms go away, people think, well, I'm fine now, no harm done. But here's the truth. A TIA is one of the most urgent warning signs in all of medicine. It means your brain just sent you a red alert. Studies show that up to 20% of people who have a TIA will have a major stroke within 90 days, and about half of those major strokes happen within the first 48 hours. So when your body speaks, you listen. Now, let's talk about what it's saying. The most classic warning sign, and the one most people have heard of, is sudden numbness or weakness on one side of your body. But what many people miss is that this can happen days before a stroke, not just at the moment one is occurring. You might wake up one morning and notice that your left arm feels heavy, or your right leg feels like it belongs to someone else, or your face, just on one side, feels like it's been at the dentist and the numbing medicine hasn't quite worn off yet. One side droops a little when you smile. One cheek feels different when you touch it. Now, numbness on its own can have many causes: poor circulation, sleeping position, even vitamin deficiencies. But here's the key difference you need to watch for. Stroke-related numbness or weakness comes on suddenly with no obvious cause, and it affects one side of the body, not both. If both your hands feel tingly, that's more likely circulation or a pinched nerve. But if it's just one hand, one arm, one leg, or one side of your face, and it came out of nowhere, that is a red flag. And I want to be very specific about the face, because this is where a lot of people make mistakes. Try smiling in a mirror. Does one side of your face droop or not move the way it should? Ask someone else to look at you. Sometimes we can't see our own asymmetry. If your smile looks uneven in a new way, don't wait. Don't guess. Get checked. By the way, I want to ask you something. Have you or someone you love ever experienced sudden numbness or tingling on one side of your body and just brushed it off? Drop your story in the comments below. You might help someone else recognize the same thing. This one is trickier to catch because we all have moments where we feel a little foggy, especially in the morning or when we're tired. But what I'm describing here is different. This is sudden, this is notable, and it can feel very disorienting. You're in the middle of a conversation, maybe talking about dinner plans or what's on TV, and suddenly the words just don't make sense. Not because you're distracted, it's like the meaning of the words has temporarily gone fuzzy. Or you're trying to respond to someone, and the sentence you want to say just won't come out right. You know what you want to say, it's right there, but it comes out jumbled or slower than normal, or just wrong. Another version of this is suddenly not being able to follow a conversation that you'd normally have no problem with. A family member is explaining something simple, and you find yourself genuinely lost, not bored, not tired, lost. This happens because the areas of the brain that handle language and comprehension are getting disrupted, and in the hours or days before a stroke, this disruption can come and go. It might last a few minutes and then clear up, and when it clears up, it is very tempting to just move on and forget it happened. Please don't do that. If you or someone nearby experiences a sudden episode of confusion, garbled speech, or difficulty understanding language, that is not normal aging. That is a warning. Write down when it happened, how long it lasted, and what it felt like. That information will be incredibly valuable to your doctor. This is the one I mentioned earlier that catches people off guard, and there's a reason for that. Vision changes can be subtle, and we often explain them away with things like, oh, I need a new glasses prescription, or I've been staring at screens too much, or I'm just tired. But here's what you need to know. Stroke-related vision changes have a very specific quality. They come on suddenly, and they often affect just one eye or one side of your visual field in both eyes. You might look at something and notice that part of your vision has gone dark or blurry, almost like someone pulled a shade down over a portion of what you're seeing. Some people describe it as a curtain coming down over one eye. Others say it's like looking through frosted glass on one side. And then it goes away, maybe in a few minutes, maybe in an hour. There's also something called a brief temporary loss of vision in one eye. It comes on fast, usually painless, and then clears up. This happens when a tiny clot briefly blocks blood flow to the back of the eye, and that blood supply connects directly to the same network that feeds your brain. So when you lose vision in one eye, suddenly, even briefly, your brain may be under threat too. Do not explain this away as eye strain. Do not wait for your next eye appointment. This is an emergency. A sudden, unexplained change in vision that affects one eye or one side of your visual field deserves same-day medical attention. I mean it. Most of us have had headaches. Tension headaches, sinus headaches, the kind you get when you haven't had enough water. We know those headaches. We know their rhythm. We know how they feel. What I'm talking about here is something completely different. Doctors describe it as the worst headache of your life. It comes out of nowhere, like a thunderclap, no buildup, no warning, just sudden, severe, overwhelming pain in your head. Some people say it feels like being hit in the head. Others describe a sudden pressure or explosion. It is unlike any headache you have experienced before. This type of headache can be a sign of a hemorrhagic stroke, where a blood vessel in the brain bursts. And unlike many of the other warning signs, this one does not tend to come and go quietly. It is alarming by nature. But here's what I also want you to know about headaches in the days leading up to a stroke. Some people report increasing, unusual headaches in the days or even a week before a stroke. Headaches that feel different from their usual pattern, headaches that are more frequent or more severe, or that don't respond to the things that usually help. If your headache pattern has changed significantly and recently, that is worth a conversation with your doctor, especially if you're also experiencing any of the other signs we're discussing today. And especially if one day a headache hits you suddenly and severely with no warning, please call emergency services immediately. Do not drive yourself. Do not wait to see if it gets better. If you're watching this video with a family member right now, I'd really encourage you to share this video with them. This information could genuinely save a life. This last warning sign is one that's especially tricky for people over 60 because we sometimes chalk up balance issues to aging in general, to inner ear problems, to just feeling off. And yes, all of those things can cause dizziness and balance issues, but there is a specific type that you need to watch for. Stroke-related dizziness tends to come on suddenly and unexpectedly, even when you're sitting still or just standing up. It can feel like the room is spinning or like the floor shifted under you. It's different from the brief lightheadedness you might feel when you stand up too fast from a chair, which is usually related to a temporary drop in blood pressure. Along with the dizziness, you might notice that your coordination is suddenly off. You reach for a glass of water and your hand doesn't quite land where you expect it. You start walking and you veer to one side. You feel unsteady in a way that's new and sudden and unexplained. The area of the brain most involved in coordination and balance sits at the back of your head. When blood flow is disrupted to that area, balance and coordination are often the first to go. Now, I want to be clear, if you feel dizzy sometimes when you get up quickly, or if you've had balance issues for years and your doctor has already looked into it, that's a different situation. What we're looking for here is sudden, new, unexplained dizziness or loss of coordination, especially when it comes alongside any of the other signs we've talked about. One dizziness symptom alone might not tell you much, but dizziness plus numbness on one side, dizziness plus sudden vision changes, that combination is urgent. That combination means you need help right now. Now, doctors and emergency responders use an acronym to help people recognize and act on stroke symptoms quickly. You may have heard of FAST before, but there's a newer version called BFAST, and I want to walk you through it because it covers more ground. B stands for balance, sudden loss of balance or coordination. E stands for eyes, sudden vision changes in one or both eyes. F stands for face. Is one side of the face drooping? Ask the person to smile and look for unevenness. A stands for arms. Can the person raise both arms? If one drifts down, that's a warning. S stands for speech. Is speech slurred, garbled, or strange? T stands for time. Time to call for emergency help immediately. If you see any of these signs in yourself or in someone else, the action is always the same. Call for emergency help right away. Do not drive. Do not wait to see if it gets better. Do not call the doctor's office and wait for a callback. Stroke treatment is most effective in the first few hours. In fact, clot-dissolving treatment has the best outcomes when given within the first 3 to 4.5 hours. After that window, options become more limited. Time is brain. Every minute that a stroke goes untreated, nearly 2 million brain cells die. That's not meant to scare you. That's meant to make the urgency real so that you take action fast when it counts. Now, let's talk about something equally important, because knowing the warning signs is step one, but understanding your risk and taking steps to reduce it, that's the real game changer. The biggest controllable risk factor for stroke is high blood pressure. It's called the silent killer for a reason, because it often has no obvious symptoms. Over time, high blood pressure damages the walls of your blood vessels, making them more likely to rupture or form clots. If you don't know your blood pressure numbers right now, that is the first thing I want you to fix. Check it regularly, whether at home with a simple monitor or at your pharmacy. And if it's consistently above 130/80, talk to your doctor. The second big one is diet. And I want to be very direct with you here, because I know we talk about healthy eating a lot, and it can start to feel like background noise. But when it comes to stroke risk, what you eat genuinely matters every single day. Foods that are very high in sodium, heavily processed, fried, or packed with added sugar, these contribute to high blood pressure and arterial inflammation, both of which raise your stroke risk significantly. On the other hand, a diet rich in vegetables, fruits, whole grains, lean proteins, and healthy fats, things like olive oil, nuts, avocado, fatty fish, this type of eating pattern has been shown in study after study to protect your cardiovascular system and reduce stroke risk. And here's something specific I want to mention. Potassium is a mineral that helps your body balance sodium and supports healthy blood pressure. Foods naturally high in potassium, like leafy greens, bananas, sweet potatoes, white beans, and salmon, are genuinely protective. If your diet is heavy in processed foods and light in these whole foods, your blood vessels are working much harder than they should. Physical activity is the third pillar. You don't need to run marathons. A 30-minute walk 5 days a week has been shown to reduce stroke risk meaningfully. It keeps your blood pressure down, helps manage weight, reduces inflammation, and improves circulation. If you have joint issues or mobility limitations, swimming, water aerobics, or even chair-based exercises can provide similar benefits. The key is consistency. Fourth, if you smoke, quitting is one of the single most powerful things you can do for your brain health. Smoking damages blood vessels, promotes clotting, and nearly doubles your risk of stroke. No amount of smoking is safe when it comes to stroke risk. And fifth, if you have been diagnosed with an irregular heart rhythm, please make sure that's being well managed. An irregular heartbeat can cause blood to pool in the heart, which can lead to clots that travel to the brain. This is one of the leading causes of stroke in people over 60, and it is very treatable with the right medical care. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Which of these risk factors are you already working on, and which one do you think you need to pay more attention to? Your answers might inspire someone else watching. Let's make this crystal clear, because in a stressful moment, it helps to have a simple plan already in your head. Number 1. Stop what you're doing, sit or lie down in a safe place. Number 2. Call for emergency services immediately. In the United States, that is 911. Tell them you think you or someone near you may be having a stroke and give your location. Number 3. Do not eat or drink anything. Swallowing can be impaired during a stroke and can cause choking. Number 4. Do not take aspirin unless emergency services specifically tell you to, because if the stroke is the bleeding type, aspirin could make it worse. Number 5. Try to stay calm and note the time when symptoms started. This is crucial information for the doctors. If you're helping someone else and they lose consciousness or stop breathing normally, be prepared to tell emergency services what you're seeing. Try to keep them calm and still until help arrives. And one more thing. If you've already had any of the warning signs we talked about today, even briefly, even if they went away, please call your doctor today. Not tomorrow, today. Because a transient symptom that already resolved still needs urgent evaluation. Your doctor may want to do imaging, check your heart rhythm, or run blood work to understand what happened and prevent something worse. Your brain deserves that urgency. You deserve that urgency. Let me leave you with some practical, everyday things you can build into your routine that support brain health and stroke prevention over the long term. Start your morning by checking in with your body. Before you jump out of bed, take a moment. Do both sides of your body feel normal? Are you unusually dizzy? Did you wake up with a strange headache? This 30-second check-in can catch something early. Stay well hydrated throughout the day. Dehydration thickens the blood, which increases clotting risk. Plain water is best. Herbal teas count. Try to limit drinks that are very high in caffeine or sugar. Eat your vegetables at every meal if you can. Load half your plate with vegetables and fruits, not because it's a rule, but because the nutrients in those foods, the potassium, the magnesium, the antioxidants, they are actively working to keep your blood vessels flexible and healthy. Manage your stress intentionally. Chronic stress raises cortisol, which raises blood pressure and promotes inflammation. Find what works for you, whether that's prayer, meditation, time in nature, music, time with people you love. Make it a daily practice, not something you do only in a crisis. Sleep matters more than most people realize. Poor sleep, especially untreated sleep issues that affect your breathing at night, raises blood pressure and stroke risk significantly. If you've been told you snore heavily, or if you wake up exhausted no matter how long you slept, talk to your doctor about a sleep evaluation. And finally, stay socially connected. Research consistently shows that loneliness and social isolation are risk factors for both heart disease and stroke. Staying engaged with family, friends, community, or even a regular group activity, it protects your brain in ways that medicine alone cannot replicate. Now, here's something I want you to think about, and I'd really love to hear your thoughts on this in the comments. A lot of people over 60 tell me they feel like their doctors don't always have enough time to really listen. If that's been your experience, I encourage you to write things down before your appointment. Keep a simple notebook or even use your phone to jot down symptoms, even the ones that seem minor or that already went away. When did it happen? How long did it last? What did it feel like? That record is incredibly powerful. It turns a vague conversation into real, specific information your doctor can act on. Never feel embarrassed to bring up something small. In stroke prevention, small is exactly what you want to catch. One more thing I want to add about medication. If you are currently taking any medication for blood pressure, blood thinning, or heart rhythm, please do not skip doses or stop taking it without talking to your doctor first. I know medications can feel like a burden sometimes. Side effects, costs, the hassle of remembering, all of that is real. But stopping certain medications abruptly can dramatically raise your stroke risk in a very short period of time. If you have concerns about what you're taking, bring those concerns to your doctor and work through it together. There are often options, but always, always keep that conversation going rather than quietly stopping on your own. And let me say something about the people around you, because this matters more than most people realize. If you live with a spouse, a partner, or a family member, sit down with them at some point this week and share the Be Fast signs. Show them this video if you can. Because when a stroke happens, the person experiencing it is often the last one to recognize it clearly. The brain that's being affected is the same brain trying to assess whether something is wrong. Your loved ones may see it before you do. And if they know what to look for, they can act fast on your behalf. Here's what I want you to take away from everything we've talked about today. Your body is almost always trying to tell you something before something serious happens. The challenge is learning to listen and learning to take it seriously. You now know the 5 warning signs that may appear in the days before a stroke: sudden numbness or weakness on one side, sudden confusion or difficulty with language, vision changes in one or both eyes, a severe, sudden, unusual headache, and sudden dizziness or loss of balance and coordination. You know the Be Fast acronym, you know what to do if it happens, and you know the lifestyle habits that can meaningfully reduce your risk every single day. One last thought before I go. Getting older does not mean your best health years are behind you. It means you know your body better than you ever have. You've had more time to understand what feels normal and what doesn't. That self-knowledge is one of your most valuable tools. Trust it. Act on it. Don't talk yourself out of it when something feels off. Please share this video with the people you care about. with your spouse, your siblings, your adult children, your friends, because the more people who know these signs, the more lives that get saved, and that matters enormously. If you have questions, or if something today resonated with you personally, please leave a comment below. I read them, and your story genuinely helps other people feel less alone in navigating their health after 60. Take care of yourself. Your brain has been with you every single day of your life. Give it the attention it deserves.